Here we are.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, hello, everyone.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Or...
I will let them all in first.
All right.
Hi.
Hello.
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 Hello from Hong Kong.
Hello.
Hello.
Amazing.
Good morning.
I'm from Vietnam.
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 Wow.
Hello.
It's a long way.
Good
Florida.
morning from Canada.
Canada.
Hi, Canada.
Yay, Canada.
Morning from Canberra, Australia.
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 Canberra, hi.
Oh, it's
Hi, Cumbria.
Sussex.
Sussex.
Hey.
Wales.
But I'll be in Devon tomorrow.
Hello.
It's so nice
Florida.
that
Florida.
so many
Hello,
more people.
Florida.
can-
Morning from Canada.
Canada.
Another one from Canada.
Yeah, North Wales.
North Wales.
Morning, North Wales.
Another one from North Wales.
Where-
Good morning from Wisconsin.
Hi,
Morning.
Wisconsin. Hello.
Fab.
Hello.
Lots
So,
of
as everybody
hellos.
can put themselves on mute.
So, welcome everyone to our virtual Mill Open weekend. It is also celebrating our 20th
Hence the silly
anniversary.
hats.
This is why we put the silly hats on. Yeah,
I
silly
didn't get a silly hat.
Nah, we
Just
should have
everyone in the post.
Yeah.
Shall we talk to Marie?
Let's talk to Marie.
Thank you very much for coming, Marie.
That's all right. You're more than welcome. It's great to be here.
You want to tell us a bit about you and
Yeah, let's start off with you.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if people don't know much about me, which I'm going to assume people don't know much about me. So how long have I been a designer? I've been a designer since 1986 when I graduated from university, which is actually the same college you did, John. You did the same course as me, but I did the design part.
did you do yours at Nottingham or Leicester?
Leicester.
Yeah.
You were at Leicester, weren't you?
I was at Leicester, yeah.
Yeah. So you were the same course as me. When did you graduate?
I did the technology side, design.
Yeah. So I did the design side.
Right.
But I graduated in 86. So
Right.
when did you graduate?
A bit later. I was a mature student. I was in the 90s. Somewhere.
Right, okay. So you must have been, because they stopped doing the course, didn't they, after?
Yeah. I think it was
a
about,
shame.
crazy. It took all the kit out and everything, didn't it?
Yeah, I know. It was a real shame.
Mental.
But anyway, so graduated in 86, went to work for a really small manufacturer, knitwear manufacturer, because the design side of the course was very machine led. There was no hand knitting on it or anything. So most of my design career has been with machine knitting and machines and things like that. So my first job was with a very small knitwear company in Nottingham. I was there for 18 months. Then I left and started my own business. And I knitted designs on hand flat machines, domestic knitting machines and things like that. And that's where, pardon?
Dubier.
Not a Dubier, no, it was a pass up. I had a pass up machine and a knit master.
Right.
So and then what happened then? Then that's when I first became aware of Rowan yarns, because then they had a range of yarns for machine knitters, so there was on 250 gram cones. Yes, so that's how I became aware of them. Yeah, they stopped. I don't know when they stopped doing that, but that was great for me, because I was a machine knitter. Then so I used that yarn then, and then they introduced me to so I suppose I bought a I don't know, not a reasonable amount, not compared to what I sell now, but I mean, but you know, it wasn't bad at the time. And then they sent me a card with their hand knitting yarns on. So, and I thought, I might do a few hand knits, because I always have hand knitted. I learned to knit when I was about 6 or 7. My mum taught me, and I was taught at school. And then, so I decided to do a range of hand knits, and that's how I became to love Rowan yarn, really, basically. So all my designs, but my business then was very different to what it is now. It was all ready to wear, so I didn't produce patterns or sell yarn off the back of the patterns or anything. They were all ready-made garments that people bought. So one of my main customers was in Japan and in America, in New York, called Paul Stuart. So and they bought quite a lot, and it was all mostly menswear that I did. And then, but I did do women's wear as well, and I did little like craft fairs and fairs around the country. I did part of the crafts council at the Edinburgh Festival, and got quite, well known there. Even Jermaine Greer bought one of my jumpers, which is my claim to fame. So
Were you doing fair isle then as well? Or?
Yeah, it was actually. It was, but very 80s Fair Isle, if you can remember what 80s, early 90s Fair Isle design was like then. So quite bold colours, quite. But I have got my portfolio with some of the designs, and I'll have to put them on.
Got you the jumpers.
Pardon?
Got you the jumpers.
Yeah, I haven't got any of the jumpers left. I think my mother-in-law has got a couple of them. So I might have to nab them back at some point. But so it's interesting. But I think when you look back and I look at that, you can definitely see the evidence of what I do now, because I've always loved pattern and I've always loved colour and things like that.
You have to do an exhibition.
Yeah. Yes. I will have to actually at some point. And then so anyway, the business was doing really well. Then I met Mark, who's my husband, and more or less decided I needed to settle down and get a proper job, because then obviously I was much younger. I was sort of like in my mid to late 20s, and you know what you like when you're in mid to late 20s, it's sort of, you don't take things very, very seriously or anything like that, but thought that needed to settle down, get a house and everything like that. So I did decide to go back into industry, be employed as a designer in industry, and it was probably the worst decision I made, really, to be honest. Yeah, I've never really been a good employee. I've always sort of told things as I saw them and everything. I suppose that comes from being a northerner, I don't know. But but I initially worked for a sock manufacturer. I lasted 7 months, absolutely hated it.
Which one was that? Which
Pecs. Can you remember? Right. Yeah. I was the senior menswear designer at Pecs for 7 months, and I just really didn't like it. It was so much stress and hassle for a product that I thought, well, no one's ever going to see because they're under people's trousers or anything. So I couldn't get my head around that bit, although I do design socks now. And then worked.
Got a business on socks.
Yeah, I know you did. And then I went to work for a knitwear manufacturer called Stuart Mensley do you remember them?
Yeah, I do.
In Leicester, in Syston, Leicester. And then I was there until they closed, really, and then I joined Rowan. So it was a nice company to work for, Stuart Mensley. It was a family-owned company, and we had a great laugh and stuff, like good times and everything. Everything was made on site, and so we had all a big power knitting machines and everything. So it was great. Yeah, so it was great to have all that hands-on knowledge, and it's probably there that I learned so much about yarn and how yarn is made and stuff like that. And John, you probably appreciate there were so many yarn spinners around then in the sort of like
back in the
80s and late 80s, 90s and that. There was, but sadly most of them have now disappeared. But yeah, so I think that's where I've definitely learned all my yarn knowledge there. And then sadly Jim Mensley, who owned it, had to close really because of ill health, and then also coincided, we just couldn't compete anymore with the prices from the Far East. And it was really quite sad, because he was quite adamant he didn't want to take his production abroad or anything like that. He wanted to keep it here in the UK, and it was just not sustainable. So that's really, that was sad, really, in many ways. And then I saw an advert I can't remember where I saw it, in the Draper's Record, for a designer at Rowan. So I applied, and I thought, well, you know, as I say, I always loved Rowan from when I, you know, had my business the first time, and applied. Never thought I would even get an interview, to be honest. And I, you know, got an interview, and I thought I was about to do some hand knitting. I haven't done any for years. So I had to I had about a week or 10 days to do a portfolio full of hand knitting swatches and things like that. So
Really?
frantically, I remembered sort of knitting all these swatches.
Crazy football.
Yeah, I know, it was mad. I mean, obviously I had a portfolio of all my stuff I did with Stuart Mensley and things like that, which was all very much CAD driven and, you know, computer aided design. So, but I had nothing to show them for hand knitting or my capabilities of hand knitting. So I had to show them something there. So I went for the interview and got on really well and everything. And I got called back for a second interview. But as it turned out, the second interview was a week long. It was a week long second interview.
Really?
And it was just me and another lady, Stella, who I knew her from because she was the year above me at college on the same course.
So you had to work with them for a week so they could see how you.
Yes, so I think the thing was they had to see how, you know, the team got on with me, and if I, you know, and vice versa, I liked it as well. So I had to design a mini collection.
Right.
And then present it to Stephen Sheard, who at that time was still running the company. Oh yeah, that was all done. But they paid for putting me up, so they paid for they put me up in the hotel and stuff like that.
No pressure then.
No pressure there. No, yeah, it was a bit daunting, but quite. I mean, I like a challenge, so you know, I quite like it really. But it was quite funny. Really, I'll tell you a funny story, because when I got there, the design room manager, can't remember her name now, Amanda. Anyway, can't remember her surname, but she said to me, right, there's 2 yarns here which are about to go into the Rowan yarn range for next season. It was the spring summer season that I had to work on, and so she showed me these 2 yarns. One was called Holiday, I think it was called Holiday. The other one was called Glimmer Print. Well, Holiday was like a solid colour tape, sort of toweling tape yarn, so it was right. Yeah, it's quite something to behold. But even more was the Glimmer Print, which was the most dreadful yarn I've ever seen. Again, it was a tape yarn, but it was solid colour, but then it had painted blobs of gold through it. Oh, it was awful. It was
really had like a big kind of
it was massive at one point.
Yeah, and I just said, and both yarns to me just did not scream Rowan at all to me. And I just said, as I said, I always tell things as I see them, and I just said that, you know, these 2 yarns just don't, you know, to me, are these really going into the Rowan yarn range? Because they just don't speak Rowan at all to me. And obviously she said, yes, they're going into the range and things. And I thought, oh God. So anyway, I picked the lesser of the 2 evils, which was I think it was called Holiday. I can't remember now. So I was set this project to design some designs for Holiday.
Holiday.
Well, it went into they used it because there was a brochure in it. So I can't remember now. They weren't patterned or anything. It was all solid coloured garments because it was really quite. I can't even remember what size needle it was knitted on. It was something like ridiculous, like a 9mm, quite a thick yarn. So I designed that, presented that to Stephen at the end of the week. He seemed quite impressed. And then Kate Buller, who then ended up being my boss, who was the brand manager, she said, okay, we'll let you know. So but obviously Stella was going the week after, so I had to wait for well over a week until after Stella had done her job to know. And then I think it was about a week and a half, and then Kate rung me and offered me the job, which was great. But when I started my job, got there, the first job I had to do was then design the brochure in the glimmer print. So I never got. I never got.
Has said they still have some. Yeah, and it sheds wherever they go.
So tell us a bit how you come across us and what because you're from Rowan. So where's the leap from Rowan to where we are now? Then what?
To where I am now? Well, obviously I was at Rowan. When did I start at Rowan? I started at Rowan in 2005, I think. And then I stopped. Well, I was ill in 2014. I had my heart attack in 2014. So, and that obviously put everything in perspective. But just before then, 6 months about 6 months before, I'd already started my business. Because
I met you and you were still contracted to Rowan.
Yes.
I'm going to do something, but I can't do it yet.
Yes, exactly. That was that. So when I had my heart attack, I say I'd already started my business because I'd already said to Rowan, look, I'm getting a bit fed up, and everything was a bit samey. And I'd say I like a challenge. If things start to be the same every season, then I just get a bit bored, to be honest. And I said to her, look, I wanted to start doing my own workshops and things like that. So they were very accommodating and let me do that, as well as as long as I did the same job I was doing for them. Yeah, and then I had my heart attack. So, and then obviously I said to Kate, look, I can't carry on the way I'm doing. So she very kindly said, well, look, we don't want to lose you. We'll keep you on a design retainer, but all you need to do is forget all your other responsibilities, just design. We'll just take designs from you, but then you can grow your own business at your own pace. But obviously entered into a retained contract with them, and in that contract was that as long as I was in contract with them, I had to use their yarn for everything I did under my own business. So that's
to design what you wanted, but
you had to use their yarn.
Yes. So, which was not a hardship at the time, because felted tweed was one of my favourite yarns. It still is. It still is a really nice yarn, and I still like it and everything. So that's why the first 9 of my books are all using Rowan yarn, which are under my own label on that, because that's when I was under contract. So so as my business grew, I actually reduced my retainer with them. So I did less and less for them as my business grew. And then I came out of contract with them. I think it was, just trying to think now, I think it was the end of 2016, 2017, I think, early 2017, because it was the end of 2017 I launched Shetland, which was the first book. Someone else's yarn. Yeah, because that was the first thing I wanted to do, was to do a collection using Shetland wool, because I always liked Shetland wool and wanted to do
Jameson's.
Yeah, so Jameson's of Shetland. So I used their yarn, and then I saw you, John, at, I think it was a Fibre East. I've only done Fibre East once. Was it? Yeah. Was it? Oh no, it was Unravel, wasn't it? I first
bumping into each other at shows when you were doing.
Yeah, it was Unravel. I saw you very first time, which was the very first show I did, which was literally 6 months after I was 6 months after I'd had my heart attack.
Goodness.
So because I was up on the stage, I haven't done Unravel since then, to be honest.
You haven't.
And then you were down off the stage to the side, and I remember. Yeah. So and I think I've said hello then and stuff like that. And then I got to know Emma at Little Grey Sheep. Yeah, and she started to sing your praises and everything like that. And then and then I thought, well, when I come out of Rowan, then eventually I do want to do my own yarn.
Yeah.
Everything, and instantly, well, she obviously recommended you and stuff, so that's where I came to come and chat with you. And I know we had a first chat about it at Fibre East, so which was back in, I think it was 2018, I think.
It must have been.
Yeah,
it feels like we've been spinning your yarn forever now.
I know. Well, it was it was launched in I launched it the last Leondale I did, which was 2019. So yeah, so the September 2019.
Wow.
Yeah, wow.
It does feel longer.
Oh no, 2000. I'm telling you right. No, it was 2018, wasn't it?
Yeah, it must have been.
Yes, it was 2018. Yeah, because I didn't do Yarndale in 2019 because I wasn't very well again. But yeah, because that was the last time I did Yarndale.
Oh,
Right.
well, we sure like spinning it too.
Yeah. Great colours and
Yeah. Well, people seem to. I mean, I love it. I love knitting it myself.
Just by the name, your appeal is the breeds that we use within the wool as well.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of crucial to what you want, isn't it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, because what was important to me was that it was completely British. So what went into it, not just that it was spun it here in the UK, but also all the components, the fibres that went into it were also from the UK as well. So, which obviously turned out to be a good thing because of Brexit.
Yeah, no, 100% UK manufacture. So down the road to get my raw material. So yeah.
So I think we'd all be stuck, wouldn't we, if we were waiting for components from Italy or somewhere like that.
I always bang my drum about, that there could be lots of more, again, small spinners producing yarns in this country. There's so much wool.
Yeah.
You don't have to, it's that leap of faith, isn't it? So,
yeah, it is. Absolutely. So British Breeds is going from strength to strength. People really love it, and the great thing for me is that people are knitting it time and time again, so they're knitting more than one item in it. So because there's 20 colours in the colour palette now, and then next year there's going to be 26.
Just done samples, haven't we?
We've got a couple of questions here. So just going on to the colour one quickly. So somebody has said, do you plan on adding a darker brown black colour into your British Breeds range? And that
yeah, well, one of the 6 colours, new colours, is called Storm, which is sort of like a dark grey-y brown colour.
I folded that one.
Yeah, am I allowed to show it?
Whoa, yeah, okay then. Go on then, I don't mind.
No, I won't.
No, if it's not.
No, it's all right. No, I can't show it.
I've got our twiddle for it, I think.
Have you? Oh, yeah.
So we have Marie.
Show the other one.
Marie sends us what she wants as colours.
Little colour palette, yeah, we can see that.
And so that's our brief, basically. And then from our dyed tops for Marie's specific breeds, we then blend and we do like a hand carded and hand twisted sample. And from that, we make these crazy formulas, which I think you can see, and then send Marie a sample.
And she says yes or
no. Unless it's different. Is it? With a mistake, we sent her the wrong colour. There's got no green in it. I said, I know, because we didn't put any green in it.
Yeah, it all goes.
I can show this one, but that's evergreen. This is
that's already in the range.
It's one on the cop. You can't really.
Yeah, that's a lovely green, I think.
Oh,
yeah, it's really lovely.
But they're all a melange colour, aren't they? They've got that twinny look.
Yeah, I think the darker the colours go, the richer they become, I think.
Yeah.
So they're really nice. That's O'Donnell. It's still one of my favourites in the range.
It's good for that, aren't you? It's on its way.
I'm desperate for that. So
they start off as very, very solid looking colours. So they're blended to give that melange. This is your pale oak, I believe.
Good grief! I know, it's amazing when you see it.
I do believe this one is Blossom, which you just would not think
would
when you see your gorgeous colours.
Yeah, so it's very different in it. That one especially, I think.
So it's an exact science that we do for you, isn't it? Because we have to repeat those colours again and again and again.
Yeah. So what you do is like you put those solid fibres together, tops together, and then it's like a recipe, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you then every lot that you do, you use the same recipe to get the same colour. Yeah. So and then just to explain as well, they're blended together, aren't they? And then the swarbles is then added, which is undyed. So which gives it,
which gives that tones it into beautiful
Yeah. Yeah, and keeps the nice sheepy smell that everyone loves as well.
It's super pungent. It really is. When you smell your Marie's yarn, that's what you can smell in it.
Yeah.
That
was really important to me.
The hormones in warblers.
Oh, really?
That's what I don't know how true that is.
And you chose it to be a twofold, or did you work on that decision together?
No, that was your decision, wasn't it? I think you wanted.
Yeah, well, it needed to be.
You were very clear what you wanted when you came to me.
Yeah, I wanted obviously a 4-ply and a finer weight for Fair Isle. Yeah. And I just wanted this sort of light bouncy effect, and we just said, I think we just agreed, well, it had to be a 2-fold yarn.
Yeah,
you wouldn't get that in this with a single. So yeah, so but what interesting, John, because I've not really not mentioned this before, but because I'm doing some menswear for next year,
right? And
a couple of stitch designs that I've done, I've actually knitted 2 ends of the British breeds together.
Oh, right.
On a so it's like an Aran weight, so it's like them on a 4.5 millimeter, and it is really nice. So I might be asking you to do an Aran version.
A heavier weight.
Get the schedule out.
Will that be a 3-fold or a 2-fold still?
Well, again, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it'll probably have to be a 3 because of the weight.
Well, it'll have to be 3 because I with knitting 2 ends together.
Yeah.
In theory, it's a 4-fold, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you're knitting 2 ends together. So, but it's really nice. It creates a lovely fabric.
Well, we can go up to 4-fold. It's not an issue.
Yeah.
Look at us discussing the next yarn.
I know, sorry. Sorry, everyone. We're having a yarn meeting.
Everyone in on a private.
That's cool. That's how it works, though, isn't it?
Yeah. You find these things out, don't you? So,
yeah. Somebody else has asked, where do you find your inspiration from?
Oh, crumbs. I get this asked a lot, and it comes from lots of things, really. I mean, I've always loved patterns, so I'm always interested in wherever I see pattern. So any type, ceramics, carpets, so folk art, anything like that, I'm really, really interested in. Interior magazines, lots of far east sort of. One of my favorite types of art is Islamic art, because it's not so much that it's the pattern as well, but also the symmetry of it as well. It's quite mathematical. So I've always loved that. So it comes from really being all sorts of pattern, basically. So
traditional Fair Isle as well, or do you?
People also ask me, how do I design my Fair Isles? And in the past, I have a lot of my Fair Isles have been very traditional, so using traditional motifs and then putting them together. But sort of more recently, a lot of my designs are amalgamation of a lot of different things. So there might be an influence from ornamental design with a bit of traditional Fair Isle. But then I manipulate, the motifs and things like that to fit what I want to do. So, or to fit a certain repeat.
More about how, like, the intricate details of how you actually, not today, because you just
do you swatch a pattern and then try to put that into a design? So how I design is I just literally draw the pattern on some graph paper, and then I either colour it in with coloured pencils to sort of divide the colour, but sort of like now I don't even do that. I just sort of divide the pattern up into its various sections, and within, so if I've got like a Fair Isle section which is 20 rows high or whatever, then most of my motifs are mirror as well, mirror across the centre, so the bottom half is the same as the top half, but flipped.
you know, so I'll divide that up into, say, sections of 4 rows or 6 rows, and then I just then allocate colours. So I have a little bag with little wrappings of all of my colours, and I just lay them out, and I just decide which colours I want to use in each section.
Right.
And then I knit it, and then I either change it as I go along if I'm not happy with it, or I knit the whole thing, and then I twist. If I look at it then and I'm still not happy with it, I'll twist on a colour or more colour into it. Yeah, rather than re-knit it.
Yeah. Oh man, I feel like a fool.
Yeah, I just twist on a change of colour into it. Then once I'm happy with it, then I put it on my computer and chart it up properly. And then when I'm ready for it to go to my pattern writer, because I don't write my own patterns, I can write patterns, but A, I don't like doing it, and B, it just takes me forever to write a pattern. But my pattern writer, Sue, is fabulous at pattern writing. So, but I give her as quite comprehensive information for her to write the pattern. So she not only needs the chart, she needs a full sort of, I normally do a full size diagram of the actual garment, so or every single measurement or where I want to change a pattern, and everything goes on there. There's also a written specification as well, any pattern notes and all that sort of stuff, obviously the tension and
and I love all the little crochet edges.
Yeah, absolutely, anything you can think of.
I have
to tell her.
Lovely little touches.
Yeah. So then she writes the pattern from there. But I mean, the thing is with I always knit a full repeat as well of one of my designs, because I need to see a whole repeat to make sure that the whole design is balanced. Because the biggest thing with Fair design, well, for me, when you visually look at it, your eye's not drawn to any particular one place.
No.
I think if you look at a Fair design and your eye is immediately drawn to one place in it, then that design is unbalanced.
Right.
I think. I mean, you can have your eye drawn to, say, for example, you've got an ecru colour in a swatch. I mean, you can, if you just put the ecru colour in once, in that one big repeat, then once you do a whole garment, it would just look unbalanced because your eye is just immediately drawn to that. But if you treat the ecru as a highlight and it's used consistently throughout the whole repeat, but in small sections, then it becomes balanced. So if you know what I mean. So that's where most people go wrong with recolouring Fair designs. It's very, very
subtle.
It causes the pattern to become unbalanced, and then in my mind then ruins the whole thing. But there you go.
Oh.
So fair enough. Another couple of questions if you're up for it. Let me just let this person in. So Sandra has asked, she says, I love all your Fair designs. Can you recommend one of your more beginner designs and any advice for getting better in Fair skill level?
Right, well, there's a couple of free patterns on my website which are quite good for beginners. They're good from the point of view they just use 2 colours throughout, so you're not changing colour a lot. So I always think it's, if you're new to Fair, to do something like that which just literally uses 2 colours, and that gets used to, then you'll get used to your own technique about knitting Fair before you go on to you doing a design which uses lots of colours. I mean, although my designs look very complicated, they're not. They only ever use 2 colours in a row. It's just that I change colour a lot. But I always advise beginners not to attempt at one of my designs, a multicoloured design initially, but to do a couple of 2 colour ones. So on my website, there's I know there's like a hot water bottle cover, which is just 2 colour. And there's actually a really nice garment as well called Lapwing, I think, which uses 2 colours. So that something like that. I mean, also in some of my collections as well, there's 2 colour garments. One in particular is I think there's an Angelica from Bloomsbury, which has just got 2 colours throughout. Windermere in Lakeland has just got 2 colours throughout. So they're easy garments for a beginner to have a go at, really. So
excellent. And next question. Somebody says, so interesting. Would you like to share about the considerations and process that goes into the size range of your patterns?
Well, my size range at the minute is really the size range that I used at Rowan yarns when I was at Rowan. So at the minute it runs from size small to XXL. But my 2 new collections, which are coming out next year, the size range is increasing to 3XL. So we're adding 3 more sizes, 3 more larger sizes to the range. I have got Cherish coming out later this year. Now, Cherish should have been out last year, should have been photographed last year, but obviously because of COVID, it's not happened. But I'm photographing that now in August. But those patterns were written before, obviously were written last year, so they are still under the old size range. So they still go up to the same, the normal size range. It's from the new collections from next year that the larger size ranges will be in. So I hope that, I know, because I've had a couple of, well, I'm not going to say many emails, I've done about 3 or 4 emails from people asking for larger sizes. So, but yeah, so I've decided to include larger sizes, but it won't be until next year.
Cool. Next, do you have any tips on colour work that's worked flat instead of steeked? I find that a bit daunting. A couple of people have said, do you consider making more patterns that are knitted in the round and steeked? Are yours knit flat generally, Marie?
The majority of my designs at the minute are knitted flat. I think, again, that's something that I've taken from really when I was at Rowan, because when I was at Rowan, we did surveys and things like that, and at that time the majority of knitters knitted Farrow flat or wanted to knit Farrow flat. It's only really in the last decade really that people, especially in the UK, want to knit more and more in the round. So I have tried to include more and more designs knitted in the round. In the 2 new collections coming out next year, there are actually more designs knitted in the round, and there's more that are steeked, and they're not just steeked for a cardigan or anything, they're also steeked for the armholes and things like that. So there are, I am doing more. So yeah, so there's no real well, also as well from a design point of view, sometimes a lot of my patterns, the way I put pattern together, they don't have the same repeats, or they're not multiples of the same repeats. So therefore it's compromising the design in some way if you're having to put things in a certain repeat so that you can knit it in the round. So that's another issue as well. So, but I am trying to knit more things in the round.
Everyone prefers different techniques anyway, don't they?
Yeah, but I always do try and encourage people, that those people that do knit in the round, to knit Farrow, or to try to knit Farrow flat, because if you can knit Farrow flat, you can knit anything. Basically, I think you're limiting yourself as a knitter if you just limit yourself to knitting Farrow in the round. And knitting Farrow on the purl side or the wrong side is not, once you get used to it, some people actually prefer to knit Farrow on the wrong side. I mean, I do. You actually can see what you're doing on the wrong side.
Yeah. I started knitting Farrow not in the round as well, and I like doing it on the purl side actually. Yeah,
right, exactly. I mean, I do as well. I mean, I can understand knitters that knit two-handed in the continental way do find more difficult on the wrong side, because it is more So I mean, I tend to say if you're a knitter that knits completely in the round two-handed and you want to have a go at knitting ferrule on the wrong side, is to actually pick up and drop before, you know, and then once you get going again, and then do it. But it is more fiddly to knit two-handed on the round. I do appreciate that, but I do think it's important that people do have a go at knitting ferrule, because as I say, it you know, you can knit anything in ferrule design if you can knit ferrule flat. I just think you are limiting yourself too much to knit in the round.
To have all the skills, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Somebody said that's great. How cool to hear you're expanding your size range. Susan saying, will Georgia still be your model?
Georgia still is my model. So I'm really, really pleased about that. So, for example, for Cherish, I was actually going to photograph Cherish in November with the other two collections, because obviously that's when Georgia was coming over. But she's now coming over in July for a friend's wedding. One of her friends is getting married, and I think she's a bridesmaid. So,
does she not live in the UK then?
No, she lives in Canada, in Vancouver. Yeah, they moved. Her and her fiance moved out there. Over 3 years ago now. Okay. So she's
nab her when she comes back. Then
do what? Sorry.
You have to nab her and photograph.
Yes,
her.
exactly. So I seemed to, because she emailed me. She said, "Oh, I'm coming over. It'd be great, great to catch up." And then I thought, actually, I could photograph Cherish early, so it'll save us from, because otherwise I'd have 3 collections to photograph in November, which was pretty tall. Yes, a tall order, to be honest. So so it's worked out quite well. So I'm photographing it in Cherish in London at the beginning of August, in a location house in London. So I'm actually going to go down a week on Monday to have a look at the house and everything. So because we've just got to do it in a day. So but let me explain what Cherish is. Cherish is a bit of a special collection, as far as that I've taken some of my favourite designs from my previous collections and reknitted them into British breeds and altered them in certain ways. So I don't know if a lot of you there have read my most recent newsletter that was sent out on yesterday. I do list the actual designs that I've got in that collection and how I've actually changed them. So but there'll also be a feature in the book as well with the original photographs as well. So that's
a very exciting project.
Yeah, so that was quite nice to do. Yeah, I mean, obviously the garments we did the patterns and the garments last year, so they've been sat in a drawer for ages. So it'd be nice to people see them. And obviously this collection uses the 4 new designs that we introduced back end of last year, so the thistle, evergreen, dahlia, and so those, and corn cockle, those 4 new colours are in that book.
I love corn cockle.
Cockles, yes, it's a lovely colour, isn't it? Yeah, I like that. Yeah. So that's Cherish, and then the 2 new collections coming out in next year are called Cumbria and Westmorland. And I'm not decided what's going in what yet, but the whole 2 collections combined are 10 women's garments and 6 men's garments, and then various accessories as well for both men and women. So it's great to have some menswear in there as well. So it's good to do. And George's fiance is modelling the menswear.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, John, last year, John, I didn't do any designing except the Ferrule Club 6.
I don't believe you.
No, I didn't. Honestly, I didn't do any. Well, I don't know. It still seemed to be very busy. I mean, I suppose last year we digitized a lot of my old patterns, so now all the patterns are
did a lot of gardening by the looks.
I did do more gardening last year. Yes, you're right, I did. But yeah. But say Ferrule Club takes up a long time. I mean, I've not even started designing Ferrule Club 7 yet, and that's my next job to do.
Somebody has asked about whether you're going to be doing a club this year?
I am doing a club this year. I will be doing a club, but it won't be released, I don't think, until the 1st of, for booking, until the 1st of November or 1st of December. So it's the back end of this year, really.
I can you see whether it's going to be a garment or...
It is a garment.
It is a garment.
Yeah, it is a garment. So another garment for Feral Club 7. I'm umming and ahhing whether or not to actually offer 2 different colourways in it. So so we'll see at the minute, because obviously all the previous garments I've done have always used quite a lot of colours. So like Feral Club 6, the tapestry wrap had all 20 colours in it. So what I might do is do a slightly simpler design, but then offer two colourways so people can choose that. So but I'm not 100% decided that yet. Yeah. So but that's my next job to do. So after I've
nice
talked it with my dreaded accounts.
Such different colour preferences, don't they?
Yeah, exactly. So that might be quite nice to do. Yeah. A lady called Jenny has asked me, do I get time to knit for pleasure, or whether being a knitwear designer makes it too much of a busman's holiday? If you do knit, what sort of things do you make? Well, to be honest, I love knitting. I love my job and stuff. So, I mean, at the minute I'm finishing one of the garments for Cherish, actually, which I decided to add into the range. So just on the sleeves of that's it's a version of chestnut that was in Wildwood. So I'm just on my first sleeve of that. But to be honest, I just knitted. The last thing I knitted was a jumper for myself, which was the O'Donnell version of Primrose, which I put up on Instagram, and that's just such a popular kit. So and I just did that because I just wanted a bluer version for myself, really. Right. But I think I will be doing more different colorways of some of my older designs and offering them as kits. So yeah, because now I've got plenty of colours in British Breeds, I've got no excuse, have I, really?
Is that it now? You're going to keep throwing more colours?
Well, it's a new way now, apparently.
Well, yeah. I mean, really. I mean, I don't know how big the range can get. I don't know.
Well, we're only limited by our blends, and we can. The good thing about blending, we can do lots of different and variations.
Yeah, and I'm not interested in dropping colours. To me, I just don't see the point of dropping. And that was the one thing that really annoyed me when I was at Rowan, was we had to drop colours. To add new colours in, we had to take colours out because of the stock levels.
Imagine that be a large production issue, wouldn't it? Yeah,
well, because they had so many. Obviously, they have such a big yarn range, so obviously they can't keep all the colours in all the ranges, because obviously they'll just have far too much stock, and it's just not commercially viable to do that. But I can do that. I've only got the one range, so I can keep.
We can spin 10 kilos.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so if I mean, there are a couple of colours in the range which are less popular than the others, but that's probably because I use them less in my design. So. But that's fine. You're always going to get that in a colour palette. You're always going to get, certain colours that are used a lot more than others. And the ones that are used the least, so actually you need them there to balance the whole palette anyway. So I'm not going to drop colours. Plus it's just not fair on people who have invested money in a book and, they've got designs in and they want to knit. So if someone wants to knit something in 10 years' time from Wildwood, then I'd like to think that they can still get the colours. So they
keep going for another 20 years then, haven't they?
Well, and me.
we all hand on. What we want to do with this spinning business. Obviously, me and Juliet can't do it forever. At some point, we're going to hand it on to the team. I think.
Frankie, it's your turn, is it? It's going to be handed down to you.
I'll run a mile.
Somebody has asked, what is your most popular pattern? They are currently sitting here enjoying the session, knitting lovage, and the most fun part, which is the colourwork yoke.
All right. Well, that's been a very popular pattern, lovage. so that was in my very first book, which was Windswept. And another design from that same collection is Sage, and that's been very, very popular. And that's actually in, a version of that is actually in Cherish as well. I've just done a different colorway of that, and the color order's changed on it, and to be honest, it's just lovely. I love that. I love it. Even the second version is just really, really nice. So so that's good. And then probably more Hawthorn from Wildwood has been very popular, as is Primrose has been extremely popular, both in the colour that's in the book and also the new colourway that I've put on. And then out of Shetland, you've got Bresse, which has been really popular. And in fact, most of the designs in Shetland have been very popular. So I'm just trying to think. Bresse and Unce, the cardigan. Pardon?
Lovely pattern names.
Oh, well, I had to name for Shetland. I had to name them after all Shetland places. So,
awesome.
Yeah, I had to do that, really.
Another thing.
Yeah. So all the designs in like Cumbria and Westmorland that are coming out next year have all got Lake District names. Or
where's Westmorland?
Westmorland is the old county name for the bit in between Cumbria and the now Yorkshire Dales.
Ah, right. Okay, didn't know that.
All right, yeah. So it used to be called Westmorland.
That's going to be a nice photo.
It doesn't exist anymore.
It's going to be a nice photo shoot then.
Yeah. Because we're photographing. We're in two locations. We're photographing in the Lake District at Elterwater.
Oh, yeah.
Around Elterwater, so it's Ambleside and the little Langdale and stuff around there, which is just beautiful. And then we're going over to Alison O'Neill's farm, which is in the old Westmorland. So it's actually where I photographed Lakeland, but we're actually photographing more on her farm and then going up onto the Howgills and things like that. So.
Oh, I think someone asked that further back in the chat was, do you style it yourself?
Yes. Yeah, for the photography shoot, yes, I style myself. I've got a big collection of tweeds and tartans and checks and all that sort of stuff. Lots have been collected over the years. From if I see something online that I think, oh God, that looks really good, I'll just buy it. But they're all sort of like wool tweedy type things which are just last forever basically, and I just look and then... and I just think tweed and fur just look so good together, look really good together. And Alison sometimes lets me borrow some of her, because Alison has a tweed business, so she makes mostly to commission, but if she's got some skirts and things like that, she'll let me borrow those. But I've since bought a few of her skirts and things, so I use them anyway. So yes, I do. So that's why probably you do see the same. If you look at some of my books, you might recognize, oh, she used that skirt in. That is so it. But to me it's timeless. It's nothing. It's timeless fashion, really. It's not up to date fashion.
Supporting fast fashion.
And plus I style how I wear clothes myself as well, which is something, which is one of the nice things about having your own business, is that at Rowan we had to, when you're designing for other people, you have to design for a set market, which is not necessarily what you want to do. So all my design career, up till when I started my own business, I've always had to design to a brief. So when I started my own business, it was just like, a real fresh of breath air to be able to design exactly what I want to do. And that's why I just love it so much. And I just count myself as being extremely lucky to be able to make a living out of something I love doing.
Me too.
Yeah, exactly. So it's great, isn't it? I mean, we're very lucky. It's not,
it's ups and downs, isn't it? But
but
parts in it, then it's not.
Yeah. The only bit about my business I don't enjoy is doing my accounts.
And you can pay someone to do
You're
that.
right. You haven't got any
It's always
staff
another.
either, as such.
My husband works with me now. So
Yeah, there you
that's
go.
all right. Yeah. No, I mean, obviously I do have a very good accountant who does everything, but it's what I mean by meaning my accounts is that I have to input everything into the accountancy software. And I hate
Yeah, you
doing
still got to do a bit of it, haven't you?
that. Yeah.
Juliet does all that. I don't know.
Yeah, fair
I
enough.
can't remember it.
So we are a few minutes until the end of our
Oh
set.
God, that's gone quick.
It's gone very quick.
It has. We could
Yeah.
sit here and listen
great.
to what you've got to say all afternoon.
I'm sure not.
Ah,
I'm assuming you'll be coming down at some point when you can, are you? Or are we going to meet up? Or
Well, it'd be
Right.
good to, because I don't know. It'd be nice when we'd be able to go to a show again, really.
yeah,
Yeah.
know.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, Yarndale, I was umming and ahhing to do Yarndale. I'd said yes, and then I've said no because it now coincides with me not being able to launch anything. So, so it's a bit difficult. So if I did a show, I won't have anything new to show or anything. So I think it'd be next year, really, be doing shows. But I don't know if Yarndale will go ahead or not.
Don't know. We've
don't know.
paused shows for this year. We're not doing anything to next year.
Yeah, so let's fingers crossed it'll.
We'll have to rethink how we do them as well, because everything's changed with even when things.
we have a lot more stuff again.
I think we'll actually end up promoting ranges that we've just launched or doing something with new patterns and.
Yeah, rather
be a
than
bit
showing
more-
everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've got too much.
You've got
Hard
too
work.
much, yeah.
The artist.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always
The
amazed that you do what you do at shows, to be honest. I mean, you've got so much.
It has actually been sort of like we've looked at it and gone, they were getting too big.
Yeah. It's hard work, isn't it? It's hard work doing a show.
Open it by numbers, Cameron.
Oh,
It's
geez.
my God.
Yeah.
It's getting it all in there, then getting it all out again.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, it's the packing up.
I believe that your book, and you're gone in like a couple of hours, and we're just
Yeah, you always.
yeah, bye.
Bye.
You've got such a big stand.
Oh.
So, yeah.
We just wrap it up just because I don't want us to be cut off if that happens. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's all right. I've really enjoyed
doing
it. I hope everyone listening has enjoyed it as well.
Yeah.
So,
Once again, thank you very much, and
All
thank you all for coming.
Bye.
I hope the rest of the weekend goes really well. Bye.
Yeah, thank you
Hope
so
so.
much. Bye.
What could go wrong?